Hey everybody, welcome to the Puppy Dukes podcast. I am Rob Dukes, and I am coming from you from my backyard with my iPhone, no microphone. I apologize for that. I moved. I spent the last 2 weeks, I haven't had a podcast since March 17th, which is like 2.5 weeks ago. Or no, 2 weeks ago, yeah. So, and I apologize, man, I really do. I try to do this every week, but I had to move by April 1st, so it was a lot of packing, and you know, thing about fucking moving, man, is like you're like, oh, you know, I don't have a lot of shit, you know, and holy fuck, man. I mean, just like the, you know, everything takes. If you think it takes 3 hours, it's gonna take 7. If you think it's gonna take 8 hours, it's gonna take 15. That's just how everything seemed to be going, man. It was really, it wasn't fun. I think the only upside to moving was I found stuff I forgot I had. And then I got rid of a bunch of shit that I don't fucking need, and why is it in my life, you know? During all this, had to get, blew out a tire on my truck at the same time. So it was like, oh, you gotta be fucking, so it was just a big shit show. Anyway, so I moved in, but I don't have anything unboxed. I haven't, my computer isn't set up. I haven't done any of that shit, you know. So anyway, you know, here I am in my backyard. I'm going to try and do it from here, man. This is really a cool little spot, that I found, and I'm glad I did. Anyway, wow, man, did you hear about the lady serving cupcakes to the kids with her husband's semen in it? Yeah, that happened. If you look it up, it's on Google. I wish I could read it right now. Like I said, I don't have anything ready. This is such a fucking... This is because I felt guilty that I was like, I'm going to do this every week, and then I fucking moved, and it just fucked everything up. But anyway, yeah, Google that story. Woman serves semen, husband semen to kids in cupcakes. You know, the human mind is a, can you imagine? I mean, why would you want to do that? I can't imagine. I can't fathom any scenario where the benefit would be like, I don't know, man. I don't know. What are we doing? You know, I read the story about a week and a half ago. I remember laughing about it, and then now that I'm sitting here and I say it out loud and I think about it, the human condition is fucking awful. I mean, is there any real need, right? So look, I'm not being contrite here, but is there really any need for that woman to be on the planet with the rest of us people who don't serve semen in cupcakes to little kids? Look, it's not like the end of the world. She didn't poison and kill them. But the idea that she would do that, like, is there any need for her to be here anymore? Like, that's like you lose, you know, you've lost your right to be a part of the human race. Like, you're, you know, anyway. Fucking Will Smith smack a comedian. Like, come on, man. And then I only saw the clip on Twitter. So, look, he smacks him, then goes, sits back down, and then accepts an award, wins an Oscar, and gives a speech and starts crying about love. Like, dude, you're mentally fucking ill. And the people that just sat there and didn't do anything, like just didn't ask him to leave or throw him out. Like, dude, you can't do that here. You know, I feel bad for Chris Rock. I love Chris Rock. I think he's funnier than fuck. Tangerine was good, and of course, you know, Bigger and Blacker, brilliant. He's a brilliant stand-up comic. It sets a weird precedent for comedians, and I got a bunch of comedian friends, and I know that, you know, Greg Fitzsimmons has got punched on stage and then had to go finish his act, a lot like Chris, and he just kind of suck it up and keep going. I know Jim Jeffries got attacked and punched in the face. Oh, have you ever seen if you Google the footage of comedian attacks crowd with guitar, that's a funny little clip. It's from the 80s, I think, and the dude just hauls off and smacks the fuck out of this dude with an acoustic guitar, and it's fucking funny. And then he goes like, you guys saw him coming at me, and the guy was sitting in a chair. So anyway, I think it's on, I thought on like a heckler documentary. There's a documentary out there about hecklers and comedians. It's pretty funny. Anyway, so martyrstore.net. If you go to martyrstore.net and put in the code Dukes, and you want to buy something, you'll get 10% off all that stuff. He's got stuff from Crowbar and Corpse Grinder, and you know, just a bunch of other bands, Jasta, and you know, Jamie's pretty cool at helping other bands and helping them get to another level. And if you go to martyrstore.net, you can see all the stuff that he does. It's really cool. So this week, a couple weeks ago, I sat down, like I said, man, I moved. So this interview was from March, I think March 20th. I had a kind of a little window, and I sat on Zoom with, I sat with Cynthia and Joshua Coburn from Dissident Cigars. And we have like a 30-minute conversation. They live down in Nicaragua. They live right near a cigar factory. They make their own cigars. So they bought Dissident Cigars, which was already a cigar. They have one called the Block I smoke, and it's a really good cigar. So, you know, they're tattooed up and they're metal, and we talk about music, and we talk about tattoos, and we talk about cigars. And I talk about how fucking ballsy cool it is to like just pack up your family and like, we're going to Nicaragua and we're going to buy a cigar company, and then just fucking balls to the wall. I got nothing but respect for them. And anyway, man, so if you're not a cigar smoker, I think you're gonna find this interesting anyway. It's kind of cool we're basically just having a conversation about how they got some things done, and then we talk music. They're friends with Gary Holt, and we talked about that. We talked about just metal and music, and that was it, man. And like I said, this week I'm going to get everything set back up, get the computer, get the podcast all going up again. And once again, I apologize for the delay a week, and but I will be back at it next week. And so here's my interview with Joshua and Cynthia Coburn from Dissident Cigars. So can you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. You can start if you'd like.
Yeah.
So
I'm Joshua Coburn, motivational speaker, author, and now owner of Dissident Cigars with my beautiful wife, Cynthia.
Yeah. Pretty much the same thing for me, too. We both kind of put the motivational speaking on the back burner since moving to beautiful Nicaragua. So It's kind of hard to do that when you're here. Not to say we wouldn't do it. We just kind of shifted gears. So if someone really wanted us in the States to do some motivational speaking, I'm sure we would do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So how long have you been smoking cigars?
I would say for me, probably about 6 years now. I mentioned this the other day. I keep saying 5 years, but it's been like a year that I've been saying 5 years. So I'm pretty sure it's like 6 years now. So it's probably about the same for you then.
Yeah, we both weirdly started smoking cigars right about the same time, about 5-6 years ago, before we knew each other. Yeah. And yeah, since then it just kind of, I actually told the guy that introduced me to cigars, I told him often that I didn't want to smoke cigars, not because I had issue with smoking cigars, but because I didn't need a new thing that would consume my life. And here the fuck we are.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing, though. It's a good thing.
So what was your first cigar you smoked? Do you remember?
For me, no, because my experience was like, fuck, I really just need something to like calm me down, because I was a single mom, 4 kids, and I just needed something that I could separate myself from kids. Yeah. And I didn't want to get into cigarette smoking or anything. So I was like, man, I hear so many like good things about cigars. So I kind of just walked into like a convenience store type place and thought that they would fill me with all this knowledge that they did not do. And so I ended up walking out with, I have no idea. Like he said, it was a good first cigar, but I have no clue what it was. So it wasn't a bad experience. I know it was a Connecticut, but I couldn't tell you to this day what it was. And it kind of continued with that for about a year or two, to where I was just like picking up whatever that I thought looked decent. And it wasn't until Black Label Trading, when him and I both started really looking into them and smoking their cigars, that we kind of fell in love with that brand and started learning more about that brand and exploring obviously other brands as well. But for me, prior to that, it was kind of like I had no idea. I just really enjoyed it. I liked my peace outside by myself. So
and I started my first one was a Java. And I remember that specifically because I was like, I don't care, point me in the right direction. And it's funny that people tend to steer new cigar smokers toward flavored stuff. And I understand why. I don't smoke any flavored stuff now. And I don't know that I would start a new cigar smoker there necessarily, but I understand it. But that's where I started was with a Java. What about you? What was your first one? And how long?
I've been smoking for about 3 years. I had smoked in the early 90s for a bit, mostly Romeo and Julietta's, but my first real cigar was the Ashton VSG.
Okay.
So I started at a pretty high echelon and got lucky. I was going through divorce, and I just needed to not go home for a while. So I found a little place and called the Yard in Chandler, Arizona. And I would just go sit there in the corner and my headphones in and smoke a cigar. And it just brought me peace. It brought me like a way just to end the day and really and just feel great, you know. And then slowly I started becoming I started reading everything I could about it. And my friend Rocky turned me on to Black Label, and I smoked the Last Rites and the Salvation. And then I started working part-time at the cigar bar that I hang out at, and just doing fill-in shifts and stuff. And became like a little bit of I'm not saying I'm a guru, but I kind of know what's good and I know what's not good, you know. And I've tried everything across the board. And I'd have to say that you have your Padrones, and you have your Ashton, and you have your Romeo and Julieta for old school, and the Macanudos and the Cohibas. And so when I found Black Label, what was cool about it was they were reasonably priced, and it was a really good cigar. And that's and then Rocky, my friend Rocky, turned me on to. He gave me a block, and I really liked it. I was like, damn. So the only problem is I have to drive. I mean, literally, it's about 30 miles to go get them. That's the only place that carries this around me. So, but I really liked them. I got a couple. I bought a few and enjoyed them. They only had the block. I wanted to try others, but I haven't yet. I heard the soapbox is really nice. And so
soapbox
man. I'm smoking Esteban Carreras right now this morning. I woke up. So I wake up in the morning early, and I make a pot of coffee, and I smoke a cigar early in the morning. I smoke about 3 a day, 1 in the morning, and then when I get off work, smoke a few more or whatever I'm doing.
Sure.
But how did you guys I know that you worked for Black Label for a while, right? Because I actually was at the PCAs last year in Vegas, and I didn't run into you. I missed you. I don't know how. I mean,
I know. It's so crazy because I was there, and I'm like, how did I miss this dude? Like, what the heck? Because I was hanging out at the Black Label booth. But no, actually, we've never worked for Black Label.
Oh, you did? Okay. I misunderstood that.
Yeah. Well, no, it's good because everybody thinks that because we are good friends with James and Angela.
Yeah.
And so I was there partly with them because they're great friends of ours. And then also because we run an online like marketing company.
Okay.
And we tailor specifically to the ATF world. So anything alcohol, tobacco, firearms, we help them with their social media marketing. So I was there actually doing business with that and meeting some of our clients that we have and whatnot. And then also obviously like I knew that if I didn't recognize people because, a lot of online like social media stuff, you don't realize you don't see faces. You see like hands with cigars or whatever. So like, well, fuck, how am I going to find these people? But so I knew if I just like hung around the Black Label area, people would find me because they know that I'm always with them. And sure as shit, like that's what happened. So it's blowing my mind that you and I did not run into each other.
I went and I introduced myself to James, and a lot of so what's weird is I ran into a bunch of guys that knew who I was from Exodus. And they're like, holy shit, the singer from Exodus is here. So they were, and it was cool because in South America, Exodus we're huge down there, So I had that kind of going on, and I met a few people, and then I introduced myself to James, and he was very nice. He was very cool. We talked for a little while, and I told him, hey man, I'm just a big fan of your cigars, and I thought at one point I was like, just having a conversation with him. But I haven't done that yet. But when I saw that you guys were metalheads, along with having, Josh having the beard and cigars, I'm like, why wouldn't I want to talk to these people, man? So yeah,
appreciated it.
Yeah, man.
What's funny is being married to a guy with a beard, I'm already like picking up stuff with you when you think you do the same thing that he does, and it's this.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
the beard.
It's just because I don't have any hair left, man. I don't have any hair anymore. I started going bald. I had long hair, but I was getting a bald spot, and I didn't want to be the guy with long hair with a bald spot, so I shaved my head, and now I grew my beard, and I do that. Yeah.
Nice.
So
yeah, it's part of the deal. It's the wizard in us all when we have a beard. Right? It's how that shit works.
Yeah.
But no, as far as James go, man, he's such a cool cat, but he's real quiet, real even-keeled, and I mean, but getting him on subjects he loves, shoes, artwork, cigars, he'll talk for hours, it's awesome to that. He just loves like design and that shit. So anyway, go ahead.
No, so you guys ended up buying Dissident, and you use the same factory. Can you so most of my listeners on my podcast, I'm going to assume don't smoke cigars, but maybe they're going to try now. So so explain the process of why cigars are what they are. Like I mean I know, but I'd rather hear from you guys who are pros.
Yeah, well, I'll answer your first question. And yes, our cigars come out of the Oveja Negra factory, which produces Black Label Trading, Black Works, Emilio, and Dissident. Mm-hmm. So Dissident has, for the most part, always come out of Black Label. They were coming out of, I can't remember, originally years and years and years ago, they were coming out of somewhere else. But since then, they've always come out of Oveja Negra. And when we were asked if we wanted to take on Dissident, we were so excited for that, not only because the name and everything like fits us really well, but because they come out of Oveja Negra. Like you can't beat that. Like it is such a good factory that produces quality cigars, no matter what cigar you grab, what the 4 brands are that you grab, you're going to get a perfect smoke every time. And that was a big deal to us because, you know, we're new to this whole world with cigar ownership, and to produce a shit cigar is terrible, you know, especially as your first time around. So it was a big deal for us. So, yeah, so that's how that whole thing started. And, you know, we're not changing anything that was already there, because it's already, they have great cigars.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
good shit.
Phenomenal cigars. We're not changing any blends or anything like that. It's mainly going to be me focusing on new blends, getting the word out there, and also showing people, and this is where it plays into your next question, showing people that cigars are for everybody. I think there's this stigma that if you're a certain type of person, you can't smoke cigars, or you can't walk into a cigar lounge, or you're not going to be accepted or whatever. And I kind of want to break that. I want to show people that it's okay, and this is a wonderful community to be in, and, you know, everyone's always supportive, and you're going to meet anybody from people like yourself up to lawyers to doctors to garbage men to whatever, and everybody always has phenomenal things to say, and they're always so willing to share their knowledge in life with whatever it is. So that's a big deal to us. And as we mentioned earlier with the motivational speaking, just because we're not doing it in front of crowds of, you know, thousands anymore, doesn't mean we're not going to still do that in the future, in the cigar industry. So he's not going to be on the road. He's going to be kind of, you know, sitting back at home in Nicaragua, but I'm going to be the one traveling, going to cigar lounges, doing events. And my hope is that I continue to help people and show them what cigars are all about, and why it's just such a cool thing to get into. You know, it's calming. You have an hour of, what the fuck am I going to do? Nothing. I'm going to think about my fucking life and what I've been through and how, you know, awesome life has been. And, you know, you're going to evaluate things and whatever else. So you have like this hour to, like, I don't know, just think and relax and enjoy your time. So that's a big deal for me in the cigar industry, you know, to understand that.
To piggyback on that, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like to sit down and just focus, and then to be in the presence of other people. Like I talk a lot about how in my first couple of years of smoking cigars, I learned more about life and business from the people that I was surrounded with that I never would have talked to otherwise than I had, you know, in the 20 years of business before that. And I was definitely at that time a fish out of water, as a dude who's spent enormous amount of times in lounges. I'm sure, especially with your kind of, you know, picking up shifts and stuff, that you saw all kinds of different people coming in. But the thought is that you got to have a fucking jacket and a comb over to have a cigar, which is total bullshit. There's metalheads that love a fucking cigar, you know? Yeah. I can't tell you the amount of time I've talked Iron Maiden and other shit with, you know, dudes who look like, you know, they're in Dockers and go out, you know, on the boat with their family on the weekends, but then are talking about, you know, seeing Maiden at Donington or, you know, whoever, wherever in like 1988. And it's just like, holy shit. And you never would have guessed, because they own like a fucking hotel chain or some shit. And they're as white bread as possible. But there's amazing people in there. And I think, to your point, that's what cigars are for, right? Is that relaxation, those conversations.
Yeah. I mean, even at our home lounge in Iowa, I mean, one of the singers from Corrosion of Conformity, he goes there all the time. And so he's a good friend of ours. And, you know, it's crazy the people that you meet that you never think you'd meet at a cigar lounge. And I think that's just an awesome thing, you know. And of course, we're one of the only people in this industry that look the way that we do. So I think it's kind of exciting to break these molds and stereotypes. So
yeah, absolutely. When I first went to, I've been to lounges everywhere. I've been to, from New York to San Francisco. I was just in Kentucky to visit my dad, and I found one, and it's the last smoking lounge you could smoke inside. Everywhere else was just a retail store where you could buy them and leave, but this is the last one you could sit down, and it was cool, man. I talked to a bunch of guys. Like you said, I would never talk to people of this ilk because I wouldn't have any interaction with them. But you know, when I first started going, I would sit in the corner with my headphones in, and unbeknownst to me, a couple guys, they knew who I was. Like, wow. Oh, that's the guy from Exodus. So, but they didn't say anything. They were totally cool. They didn't say a word to me. And then as time went on, I was in there a little more. And then they introduced themselves, and one was a retired police officer. The other one was a realtor. Another guy's a lawyer. I mean, it was. So now I'm hanging out with this group of people that was so interesting because, and they loved hearing road stories and they put up the owner put up a Exodus poster on the wall that I had signed. It was very, cool. And it became like my little home spot away from home that I go and hang out at. And
that's awesome.
Hell yeah, that's what it's about.
And and I wrote my new album basically sitting in there smoking a cigar. I wrote all the lyrics at a computer, just sitting there, and that's just how it transpired. I'd go in there, I'd read, I'd listen to books on tape, and just it really did change my life in a sense that you're right. I know guys that golf and they smoke while they're golfing. And I went to this golf event recently and I didn't smoke till after, because I'm like, I don't want to do anything when I'm smoking a cigar. I just want to smoke a cigar. I don't drink alcohol. Yeah. So I just drink coffee or espresso. So that kind of goes good with it. And, so it's my one vice I got left, man. I don't drink and I don't do drugs, and I just I drink coffee and smoke cigars, and I'm okay with that, And
absolutely,
awesome. Absolutely. Like I do whiskey often, or like higher end tequilas with cigars occasionally, but I mean, I love pairing coffee or cappuccinos or whatever with coffee, especially with a lighter cigar, because the cigar kind of takes on, what you're drinking if it's real light. So I like that.
Yeah. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize unless they really dive deep into cigars. They kind of think that a cigar is a cigar, tobacco is tobacco. And they don't realize that it's so much more than that. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I mean, like if you ever get the chance to come out to Nicaragua, we could show you around all the tobacco farms.
Come on down, man.
Black Label Trading, their factory and all that, and it's just like, it's so eye opening. And you realize that there really is an art to cigars and to what you're smoking and just all the different tobaccos, and I get the chance to smoke tobacco in its purest form in order to cleanse, and that in itself is so unique, and I feel like blessed for that, even because I get to walk in the factories, like pull these leaves and put them together and be like, well, that's a fucking turd, or like,
yeah
or you think one's good, and it's awesome too is like I have James the consultant, I might think a cigar tastes good, this might be a good blend, but he'll bring things up like, well, remember the aging process, or whatever it may be, and then we get to have the chance to, in a few months, go back and smoke these cigars and make sure they truly still are good cigars. So I don't know, it's just such an awesome thing. Like when you start diving into the cigar world, I don't know, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
There's nothing cooler, in my opinion, than coming up with something you think might work and then having the opportunity like 15 minutes later to have a rolero bring you that cigar fresh, ready to smoke. And of course, 3, 6, 8 months later, it's going to taste different. But if it's good and kind of what you're thinking right away, that's a win. But it's just super cool to have that opportunity. I mean, not a lot of people get the opportunity to be like, oh, I think this would be kind of cool, or maybe we should try this. And then to have it like 15 minutes later, like, holy shit, what a cool idea and concept.
One of the things I liked about Black Label was nothing can be worse than having a brand that has it isn't consistent, and Black Label's been very consistent. I'm going to start smoking more of the Dissident, and I know that because I can tell right now that it means that it means something to you. So I've had, I've had certain brands where you, okay, I like these. And then you have a couple and then you're like, oh, these are good. And then you smoke one and it's not good. And you're like, oh, well, where did this come? Or I'm okay when they explode. That just means they weren't treated right. So they weren't in the humidor long enough or whatever. So I understand when they come unraveled, but the taste is very important. Like when I rarely have a taste for Connecticut, but I do have a taste for mediums and fulls. And when I want a full, I hope that I get one, and I hope that it gets me the way I want it to. And I rarely, like I said, I rarely smoke Connecticut. I do one of the Oscars. I don't mind with coffee in the morning. One of the Oscar leaf. Which one? I think the Oscar, the Connecticut. But so being consistent, that's important, right? No, you guys, when did you move to Nicaragua?
Coming up on exactly a year. At the beginning of April, it'll be a year that we were here. And it wasn't because of cigars either.
That's the
really
thing.
No shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
We like cigars. We were here because we were friends with James and Angela. We toured the factory. We loved it. But then they brought us to this small coastal town. And she and I kind of looked at each other like, man, it'd be cool to live here. And we thought about bringing the kids down here for vacation. COVID hits. It's a no-go. And the kids, like, I don't know, 8 months later, 6 months later, something, we're like, why don't we just move there? Because they're all teenagers. So they all did their research and everything else. And, you know, their history is tough. They've had to move around a lot and stuff. So this wasn't even like scary like it would be. And even all the way down to, as a guy who's lived out of a suitcase, you understand this.
Yeah.
But paring your life down to what you're going to need for a year for a suitcase is tough for an adult. Then you got a 16-year-old kid and say, okay, but you have to put your life in a suitcase. That's all you get. Everything else goes away. That's a mind fuck for most people, but for a kid even more, because they, you know, life experience, etc., often doesn't allow them to narrow their existence down to something as simple as that. All our kids did it. It took them like a few days. And they're like, I think this is it. We went through it. We're like, okay, this will fit. This won't fit. What do you want to do? Made the decisions. A few months later, here we are. And it's been that way ever since. But the Dissident opportunity came, about 8 months into our living here. And I think part of it was because we kind of got to know James and Angela more. They made us aware that Dissident was kind of going to be available on some level, but it wasn't their business. Of course, they own the factory, so they knew the kind of the inside, but they didn't own it. They didn't have much to do with it other than that. And they're like, look, if no one picks this up, we're probably going to let it fold, because it's not James' passion. Dissident isn't his thing. And we're like, well, that sucks, because they're great fucking cigars. We love the idea of Dissident. And we talked about that alone. And then months later, it kind of came up that it was for sure available, and it was offered to us. And we didn't sit on it long before we decided to do it, because fuck, I mean, just the word dissident alone represents how we've lived our whole lives, just outside normal social constructs, you know?
Yes, I do. I get it. Yeah.
And that's what's so cool to us about it, is that the branding lends itself for us as people, as cigar lovers, as marketers, to make the fan base more like a band or a musical endeavor, and that's how we approach almost everything marketing wise. You want people to belong to it, right?
Yeah.
You want people to believe in what you do because you love it and you believe in it. And that's really what it's been all about.
Yeah.
So that was a long story about why we're in Nicaragua.
If it was a so-so factory, if there was things that we didn't like about it, I don't know that we would have jumped on it. But, you know, I say this constantly, that, you know, it's not just about the blends, you know, and the even smokes, but it's just right down to like your label, you know, like the labels that come out of there pop off so easily. You don't have to worry about picking at it or it just falling off or it taking off the wrapper on your, I mean, it's just a perfect cigar. And no matter what comes out of there, and the employees there are so happy, and everyone is just treated so good there. And, you know, when it comes down to it, it's a quality cigar. It comes from somebody who cares about their job, you know?
That's important.
James and Angela,
yes, it is.
And James and Angela have, I mean, they've perfected that. They truly love their employees and make sure that they're happy every single day. So it's truly amazing. It really is. And I mean, that's just a phenomenal factory to see in itself. And then, you know, they do things different too, because, you know, you have a lot of other brands, you know, like My Father's out here and stuff, and their tours are very structured. They're very, you go here, then you go here, and you stay here, and you get in this van, and you do this, and you do that. James and Angela are like, fuck, you're here. You want to see Nicaragua? You know, so like they're throwing our asses out into town of SLE, and they're like, let's go get some lunch. And I'm like, the fuck is this place, you know? Right. But like, it makes you have a even greater love for cigars in the end when you can experience the culture and, you know, how people live their lives and how they even go to work and spend their days there. And, you know, so it's, I don't know, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Have you been to Nicaragua?
Yes, I've been there a couple times, and I loved it every time. The fans were great. The shows were killer. You know, unfortunately, I didn't smoke cigars then, so I didn't really know, you know, but I can't, I mean, we're booking tours now with my new band, Generation Kill, and we're booking tours so we can go travel, and I'm going to smoke cigars everywhere now. That's you know.
Are you coming to Central America?
We're waiting for COVID to open up, and what's really happening is everything from the last 2 years is now being booked now. So we're actually booking for next year. So, but we're going to run a couple small tours. We're going to try and get out there and go do stuff on our own and jump on some other tours if somebody cancels or something like that. So it's just a matter of timing and availability from other places. So, you know, the whole world is going to be, if it opens up and goes back to somewhat normal, I don't think it'll be normal again, but, you know, if we can go back to tour, you know, I'm going to go back out on the road and do my thing, you know? And I'm hoping that, what I wanted to do, what my plan was to you know, just keep doing my podcast, keep talking about it. I smoke cigars when I can. And then, you know, hopefully my fans will go, hey, you know, I'm going to do what Rob did. I'm going to go try a cigar. And I've already had dozens and dozens of people reach out to me and go, hey man, I went and tried a cigar. I didn't really like it. And then I said, well, I got one guy, he said, he goes, he got real lightheaded, and I was like, oh, you should have just drank a Coke, man, or had a candy, a piece of chocolate or something. And because he smoked he smoked like a digger, like his first time out. And I was like, yeah, too heavy. So anyway, that's nice. You needed somebody around you, buddy, to help you out. So anyway, there's an art to cigar smoking, and you know,
for sure.
So otherwise you end up smoking the Java, you know, coffee, and then just that'll be it, you know?
Yeah, and that's just it. I'm thankful I had good guidance because, yes, I was handed that first.
Me too.
You know, because truly, if I wasn't surrounded by good people, you know, because they'd be like, oh, what are you smoking? Why are you smoking that? I'd be like, I'm smoking it because over there recommended it. But if you got 10 other ones to recommend, and I put notes in my phone, and I just put, you know, a check mark by the good and a thumbs down for the bad, and just kind of do it that way. Because shit, we could and Dissident all day long to people, but for a brand new cigar smoker, Dissident's a bit of a kick to the nuts.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few other things to start with. We can grow into it with you. We'll help you long term. You know.
Have you guys thought about doing a Connecticut just to make something for the beginning smoker?
Yep, absolutely. We just got done with our limited edition, so that's going to be released at PCA. And then next stop is going to be a Connecticut. Just because, like, same with you, like, we had a fan base prior to getting into the cigar world. So now we have a lot of people approaching us wanting to get into cigars, and we have nothing we can recommend them on our own brand, you know? And it's like, it sucks because if we say, hey, smoke a soapbox, to us, which is somewhat, you know, it's a medium cigar. We can handle it. We can smoke it all day. But to a new smoker, we can't even say soapbox, you know? So we'll knock them on their ass.
Yeah, the rave that we also have is a box press, but it's a fairly large cigar. It's not like a petite Corona, you know? So it's a meatier smoke too. So while it's lighter, it's not super light. And even like with Black Label, Polin is one of my favorites from them because it's a good morning cigar, perfect with coffee, kind of like the rave. But that's the lightest cigar they have, but that's still an ass kicker.
And,
so it's
it can,
like,
yeah.
So it's like, where do you
got to have a balance where you can, and it'd be cool to have a whole line across that you can say, hey man, if you never smoked before, try this first and then build your way up. And so, but metal and cigars, I remember thinking that that like cigars, I don't know if you guys have it down there, but there's this channel called Me TV, and they show old TV shows like from the 60s and even like 50s, and like a lot of the like Three Stooges, and then they'll show like Adam 12 and all these, and Adam's Family, he smoked a cigar the whole time. He always had one, and I never noticed it until I started smoking, how relevant cigars were in the world. I went to, I was where Rocky had come on, and the guy ringing the bell during Rocky was smoking a cigar in the first Rocky movie. And everyone around the ring, it was just old, rich white guys smoking cigars. And that's not the way it is now. It's, they've become, I mean, the place I hang out at it's just a plethora of people from all walks of life. And, it's a camaraderie thing. And I'm looking forward to going on the road and turning metalheads onto cigars. That's going to be,
you should do, I would pay to do like a VIP herf with bands, like with you guys or whoever, like, cause there's always, the extra cash in VIP meet and greets. And I don't know if you're into that or not. Some bands love it. Some bands hate it.
I'm actually not. I don't do the paid VIP. What I do is I just go, hey, meet me at the bar after the show and we'll fucking hang out. Cause I never wanted to buying a ticket or a CD and a shirt was always enough. I never when I was in Exodus, I always refused to do the paid VIP. I just felt like you guys are fans and like we're just normal people. I don't want you to have to pay for some kind of weird experience with me. Just come hang out. Well, wait by the bus. The old school way was you just waited by the bus, or you waited somewhere, you figured out where a hotel they were in or whatever. And that way, that's the old school way. But now, I used to just, they used to give me shit for it, but I didn't give a fuck because I didn't.
There's a 50-50 to that, because I can't tell you how many people I met by hanging out by the bus or whatever over the years. But then the other side of that I liked, because I got older and I didn't want to be up till fucking 2 a.m. I loved that I could go there at like 3 in the afternoon. I was guaranteed to talk and have a few minutes, and because I don't like the structured, like, you walk in, you and your girlfriend or wife, you get the photo, you get to shake their hand, they'll sign this, they're all at a table.
Yeah.
I hate that. But I'll give credit to bands like Metallica, who it's basically like they allow X number of people, it's in a room, and they just go and hang out in that room with everybody, and it's kind of like a party. That I can get down with, and I like that. A few bands, Hatebreed was that way the first time I met them on their VIP, basically early venue entry, and they all just hung out with you and chilled. Cool, but I'm with you. I don't dig the like walk through, fist bump, one photo, you get to sign.
I'm not
I'm not a fan of that.
You know what? What? Go ahead. Sorry.
My story's long, so you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, we did a thing where they could come to sound check. And then they could watch sound check, and then we'd come out, say hi, blah, blah, take pictures and all that shit. And then they would go leave and then come back for the show. And then, cool. But that was, I'm okay with that kind of stuff. But just the other one, it just made me feel not good. So I didn't do it.
I get it.
But
slimy, right?
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he's been, like a massive metalhead since he was a teenager, getting tattoos at a really young age. He was on VH1 before he was even an adult because of this. Funny video. Like, I won't say how to find it on VH1, but it's hilarious.
I'm going to go find it. Yeah.
And it's all because he was a huge fan of a certain band. And he was in, small town Iowa, middle of nowhere. And so VH1 came out and interviewed him and all this stuff. But anyway, through the years and through motivational speaking, especially for him, because he's done it for about 20 years, he's grown substantially. He's written a number of books. He's been on Fox News, CNN, all that stuff. Well, because of that, we've actually had the privilege of becoming friends with so many different bands, so I mean, he's worked with Slayer, we have numerous
that's how
bands
I met Gary, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so now, Gary is a friend, and we have a number of people like that. And there was one night, so have you ever played at Machine Shop in Flint, Michigan?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that place.
Yeah. So number one, Kevin Zink, the owner, he's always got a cigar hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Never lit, but he always has that cigar hanging out of his mouth. But number two, one of our good friends was playing there during Thanksgiving, and he's like, "Hey man, we'll do Thanksgiving together, and then we'll hang out on the bus, whatever." And it was so late, and he was like just begging us just to stay and then to go on the bus after. And him and I are like, "Man, we are so tired. Like, we
Old
don't."
asses.
I mean, it's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, I just want to go to bed. But anyway, we're sitting on the bus and we're hanging out and just talking, whatever. He's been a friend of ours for years. But then it made me remember, because before we got on the bus, there was a fan that was just dying to meet this gentleman. And I remembered, yes, it's all about the fans. Like, none of us, you wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fans that have followed us for years and years and years. And I had to snap out of it. So I'm like, I can't be tired and be complaining about these opportunities that I've been so blessed to have, because there are people literally sitting outside of this bus just wanting to shake hands with these people, and we can never forget that it's the fans that brought us to these places. No matter who you are, if you're doing great in life and you have a fan base, man, it's them. It's them.
Yeah. And it's easy to get complacent like we were that night, until that fan reminded us. But I mean, I'm sure you've been there too, to where when your heroes, childhood heroes, kind of become friends or your peers, you forget sometimes until you meet someone else, and then you're a fan again, and you're just like, this is fucking Bruce Dickinson or Ronnie James Dio or whoever, and you're just like, fuck, I got to shake their hand and spend 5 minutes BSing. And then you remember, there are people like that for you, holy shit. And it's just like this weird mind fuck. It's like, how did life bring us to this? It's so cool.
Yeah, it really is. When I was at PCA and a couple people came up to me and they were absolutely had no idea they were going to run into me. And the fact that they did, they kind of lost their shit. I had to calm them down, dude, relax. But one guy, he goes, "Can we FaceTime my friend in Honduras?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, go ahead." So he fucking FaceTimes his buddy, and we're FaceTiming his buddy in Honduras, and it was killer, man. I had a really good time. I'm going to PCA again this year. Are you guys gonna be there?
We'll actually both.
Yeah, we'll both.
Oh, nice, man. Well, we'll go have dinner. We'll go hang out. Yeah, well, absolutely. It'll be awesome, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
I heard there's a new really nice cigar lounge at Resorts. Somebody was telling me about it. They just went.
She's got an interesting story about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hear it.
I went there. It just, in my opinion, it wasn't cracked up to what everyone has claimed it to be.
Okay.
I mean, though, this was a TPE after party, so it was pretty insane in there. And I don't want to speak too negatively. It's a beautiful lounge. I just personally had a couple bad experiences with the staff that was in there. Right. So it's not one that I would personally probably go to again.
But it was brand new too, so maybe they're still working. Yeah, we know how that goes.
I like the one at Four Queens, the little cigar lounge in the Chicago pizza joint at Four Queens. It's a little place, holds about maybe 9-10 people. It's corner. They got I fucking loved it, man. Just fucking hung out there. We had cigars, and it was great.
I didn't even know they had a place down there. I would have. Yeah. We would always go to the Mirage. They have what used to be called the Rum Bar, and it was an outdoor seating area, kind of right by their volcano area that they have out there. Yeah, and they had
people watch.
Yeah, we people watch and smoke cigars, and you could bring your own, which is cool because a lot of places hate that.
Yeah.
And they also had a nice, a really good cigar menu and their humidor was set right. So it wasn't like in some of those places, they think they're going to have massive turnover and then they don't, and they don't have it set right. And it's just not great.
And then it's the actual cigar. Like people don't know.
Yeah. You can bring your own to Fort Queens. So it's inside Fort Queens. It's a little Chicago pizza joint, and they have a little cigar lounge. They have about 5 cigars. They're not very well taken care of because, but they don't care if you smoke your own. You could go in there. We sat in the corner. We actually did buy them, but they were all dry. So I just held on to them and brought them home and revived them.
Nice.
But I always try to, the etiquette when you go to a cigar lounge is to buy one there, and
always.
When I was in New York, and I was in New York at Carnegie Cigar Bar. It's like on 57th, and the cheapest cigar in there was like $50. I'm like, Jesus fuck Christ, man! I get a cigar for $12 at home. But I bought one, and then what was awesome was became friendly with the bartender, and then the next thing I know, my bill was $17 when I left, and
that's how to do it.
Yeah, so it was cool, man. I was just in Beverly Hills, and I went to a Beverly Hills cigar lounge, and it was a $25 cut fee. I was like, oh well, I'll just buy one of your cigars then. So it was the same thing. It had I think the Ashton at VSG was $90. I'm like, this is a $15 cigar. Yeah.
How much would an add a baby?
Oh my, yeah. So and I went to another one. It was awesome. It was a gay bar, but they allowed cigar smoking in West Hollywood. And I just sat there. I listened to that fucking music for a couple hours, but it was chill, man. I just fucking hung out. Me and my girl, we just fucking hung out and smoked cigars, and it was awesome, man. It was so
one of my craziest experiences ever with cigars was actually in DC. And, I looked up online, some different lounges, and the one closest to me was also the same one that was recommended to me. So I'm like, well, fuck, this works out. I'll cruise over there. Yeah. And I did. And I walk in, and there's a hostess because they serve food and stuff. And she asked if it was just me. I said, yeah. So she sat me down, and it was just a leather chair. And they had like these pullover trays if you ate. And ordered up a cigar and sat down and looked around and realized I was the only white dude in there. Which, like, who cares? No big deal. But as a dude from small town Iowa, like, being that, I guess, just being the only white dude anywhere was impossible from where I'm from. And I traveled a fair amount. So I'd definitely been kind of on the outskirts of that race card a few times, but never in the States. So I was like, I wonder how welcoming they'll be. See if this kind of holds true to the cigar community, right? And I wasn't there 15 minutes before the entire table of dudes turned around, and they were talking baseball. I think the World Series or something was on. And they were asking questions for me to help them settle a debate. So like, let's ask this white boy over here what he thinks about it. And they asked me, and I ended up, talking and bullshitting with them and the table next to them, actually, the whole night. And it was fucking awesome. And that's just, for those that don't understand cigars and cigar culture, it's much less, truly, for us anyway, about cigars than it is about doing this, about having conversations with people and enjoying people and learning things. Fuck, it's the best. Like, I can't say that our son is gay, so, I would go to a gay bar with him, but otherwise, generally, unless I'm with gay friends, I'm not going to head into a gay bar. But if they had cigars, fuck yeah, because I know it'd be welcoming. It'd be great. Yep. So I'm the same as you.
It was exactly what happened. I was like, well, fuck it. I'm here. I'll just whatever. You know what I mean? I have no problem with anyone. And I've had the same experience. There's a cigar bar that I go to in Arizona here. And I became friends with all the guys that hang out there. And a lot of them are ex-football players, couple of NBA guys, and it's a pretty cool little VIP lounge. I go there and hang out, and they've welcomed me like one of their own. Once they found out I made music with DMC, man, I became like the token white guy to hang out with, and it was, and they all love me. It's killer. And we bond on cigars and jazz because I love Miles Davis, and so it was, it became like this whole other experience, and so it's a really cool community to be a part of, and like I said, I'm going to go grab a couple more of your cigars. I'm going to try and stick with them and go through the whole line. And I recommend them to everybody. Like I said, I've had the block, and I highly recommend, if you're a cigar smoker, to smoke this cigar. And, I'm definitely going to take you up on coming down to Nicaragua and seeing the factory and coming down and hanging out for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, when you played here, do you remember what city you were in? Were you like in Managua or where you were at all? I know it can be a blur, but
it is a blur. I don't remember because it was one of those fly in, play, fly out, play the next day. And, we would do I think we played every country in South America, and it was always just like you would get up at, the gig would be done at like 12 or 1, and then you'd be up at 5 to get on a plane to go somewhere else at 6. And it was like, I remember just at the very end, the very last show, I was so worn out. I ended up getting like strep throat, and I was in Chile, and they sent up a doctor to my room to look at me, and he actually shot steroids into my throat. And he happened to be the team doctor for the national soccer team of Chile that was there. Wow. And they were staying in the same hotel, and that's who they sent to my room. And we played the next night, and we played that night, and then that was the last show, and I went home and ended up getting strep throat really bad, wow. But yeah, and that's what would happen is touring, you just get so worn out, and you don't eat right, and you don't get enough sleep, and you're putting it all out there, and so
dude, with the travels we did, we get it, like it's fucking brutal.
And anymore, like being in Nicaragua, we don't talk much. We're just at home. We're not, out doing the things we used to do in the States. Yeah. And I came back from TPE, no voice after the second day, just fucking ragged as fuck. And then I ended up getting sick. And it wasn't like COVID or anything, but it was just, I think, just the pure exhaustion of having to talk continuously to people. And my voice is like, what the fuck are you doing? You sit at home in Nicaragua,
Yeah. So. Try screaming for 90 minutes at the top of your lungs.
I can't even imagine.
But if you're gonna do it, countries like this are the fucking place to do it, because I know bands that are selling out, 600-700 seaters in clubs in the States come down here, man. You can do 2,500, 5,000, seat houses, no problem, because the fans are just fucking rabid. They're hungry for it. I see metal shirts on people pretty regularly. I saw a fucking guy who had a download shirt on, like at the beach house, like 2 weeks ago. And I commented on it. I'm like, that's shit you don't see here often. He was from Germany, so it made sense. He didn't have far to travel.
When I was in the last show was in Brazil, was in Sao Paulo, and then everyone else flew home, and me and Tom Hunting, the drummer from Exodus, we stayed for a week, and we went to Paraty, this little fishing village, and we stayed down there for a week and just fished and hung out and had fun. And man, I was like, God, I wish I smoked cigars back then. Fuck, it was the coolest fucking place to just chill and hang. And so that's
why we love it.
We'll stay in touch, and I'm definitely going to see you guys in the PCA. And I'm definitely going to take you up on coming down there for a visit. That sounds like an amazing adventure.
So you can smoke at every restaurant here. So
that's the best. That is the best. Yeah. Like when we were last year at PCA, I think I smoked like 8 cigars a day, and I was like, by the time I remember I got home on Monday, I was like, I don't even want one. I just stayed home for a couple days, didn't smoke.
We feel you.
I'm going to, this will come out in a couple weeks, and I'm going to make it a special episode. And then
awesome.
We'll put this out there, and hopefully, man, people go out and try some Dissident cigars. And I'm fascinated that you guys are just cigar smokers, and then you bought a fucking cigar brand. I mean, that's amazing to me. It's so fucking awesome, man.
It's like, And it's so fucked up. I don't know how much time you have here, but I'll tell this quick
Let's
story.
just go.
It's so fucked up. Because we were sitting together in Michigan. This was like 3 years ago. And she had actually just lost her job, weirdly, because they were struggling and she was the highest paid person on salary there. So they dropped her to recoup those funds, which sucks. But I was like, babe, we'll figure it out. Just like, let's just let things be. Don't worry about hunting for a job. This is an opportunity, not a drawback, right? So we're sitting there talking about this, and she's like, you know what? I just feel like there's something with cigars or the cigar industry or something that's going to come up. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. And then we started doing, like I've been doing social media stuff for a lot of years for different brands. And then we started doing different cigar things for that. And she's like, yeah, but this still doesn't seem like it's it. And, 3 years later, 2 years later, something like that, we moved here and, we're hanging out, smoking cigars, doing the work, enjoying life here. And then this falls in our lap. And she's just like, yeah, I think this is it. And I'm just like, well, fuck, I would hope so. It doesn't get more like, holy shit than this.
Yeah.
Especially with a brand that works. And like, we have a lot of things we want to do because, there's a lot of people in music that we love. Like, we love metal, we love punk, we love hardcore. And there's like a lot of tributes and stuff that we think would be cool to do. But, we don't really, we're not there yet, obviously. But like, there's opportunity for that now. Like, that's stuff that you can sit and daydream about as a cigar smoker. Like, wouldn't it be cool if? Well, now it's more like, wouldn't it be cool when, or won't it be cool when? Like, that's the fucking coolest feeling ever. And like she said, to still go out and be able to give handshakes and hugs to badass people, and hopefully get, like, we talk a lot about what dissident events will look like at cigar lounges, and our goal is to make it so you have all these fucking metalhead ass misfits coming in the door that normally would never, and just have a room filled with a bunch of badass people talking to other badass people you'd never guess are also badasses, and start to bridge that gap in the cigar industry. And that's what's so exciting for us, dude. It's fucking great.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And since you're a cigar smoker, maybe you can have a awesome cigar of your own one day.
Oh yeah. Well, who the fuck wouldn't want to have their own cigar? Fuck yeah, I'm in.
You gotta beat Guy Fieri to this one.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you'd have to have like two. You'd have to be like have like Exhibit A and Exhibit B or something, right?
Yeah. Or I mean, what I wanted. My goal originally with my podcast, the way it started, was I wanted to just talk to my friends and have conversations and tell stories about stuff that maybe no one heard before. But my original idea was to just do them live and smoke a cigar, and while we're doing it. So I have all the equipment to do that. Just because of COVID, I haven't been able to sit down with anyone. My first one. That I did live with sitting in the same room with the person. They didn't smoke, so we just had a conversation. But basically that was my goal. My goal was to just have a cigar with whoever, and if they didn't want to smoke a cigar, that's fine. We'd just sit there. But I was going to smoke one, and and that's my goal. Is to just what I wanted to do.
We'll have to do one straight from the Oveja Negra factory.
You know what I'll do is when we're in Vegas, I'll bring everything and we'll do another one. We'll sit down and we'll do one live, and we'll smoke a cigar and we'll have another conversation. We'll sit down and
awesome.
I look forward
I
look forward to hanging out with you.
You should do a Instagram live one day while smoking a cigar, and we can jump on and we can educate some people for you.
Yeah, we'll cross over some metalheads.
Okay, I could do that. Yeah, I actually haven't done anything live yet, and that reason being is that if you know anything about me, I say the wrong thing a lot, so I try not to. So at least when I'm recording, I can go back and edit some of my stupid things I say from time to time, and I'm usually it's just trying to be funny is most of the time. But I've said things that I thought were funny in my head, and then as soon as I said it, I went, "Oh, no one's gonna get that but me." So.
Well, they can scrub it for you and take over in those moments.
I used to make Gary Holt so fucking mad by some of the stuff I would say on stage. I mean, we laugh about it now, but during the time it was not funny, man. I used to make him cringe. Enough, I was too metal. He wasn't metal enough. I'm saying Gary Holt wasn't metal enough. It was me. I was too metal. Yeah. So,
dude, but he fucking. How can you say the wrong thing off the front of the stage when Paul was the front man?
Oh, he was the worst. He was way worse than me. Yeah.
What the hell? But I guess the difference is when you're coming up, you can do whatever you want because not as many people are paying attention. Not as many people.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
In front of 80,000 people, I suppose maybe there's concern. I don't know.
Yeah. A couple times, but I went and saw Gary a couple months ago, and I smoked a cigar on his porch while he sat there and did his vape thing. I think he was vaping. I cannot remember. I think he was, but I sat there and smoked a cigar, and we hung out for a couple hours at his house. So, but
I do have to say. Without being all fanboy, she's like, don't fanboy. So
because he always does, and I'm like,
if I can pick the brain of people who I respect, I fucking will. But yeah. I saw recently that you were on the Toxic Talk. Isn't that what it's called?
The Toxic Vault was that? Yeah. I smoked a cigar on that,
dude. I think that's so cool that you guys can do that because there's so much bullshit in the music industry that or like Howard and Jesse from Killswitch Engage, like they both get along well. They do guests on stage and stuff like that's the kind of camaraderie that cigars bring, but that the music industry needs more of. Forget the bad blood bullshit. It's supposed to be there to bring people to fucking together, not to tear people apart. So that's just awesome to see. Much respect to both of you for setting bullshit aside or the petty crap that comes with being a vocalist and coming in and then the whole thing. Like that's pretty awesome. Lots of respect for that.
It was cool, man. He came on my podcast recently, man. We had a cool conversation, so I'm gonna go see those guys. I think they're here next month in Arizona, so I'm gonna go hang out and maybe jump up and sing a song or something. Maybe I don't know.
Nice.
That'd be badass. So, I'll look forward to the YouTube videos because getting back to the States for anything is hard. Hard press.
Yeah, and then I'm pushing my new album, so my it's coming out. I got another killer video coming out.
Cool.
We just did that song with John Joseph. I don't know if you heard that. We did a video last week.
I did. I fucking weirdly met John just briefly in New York because I'm I guess friends with Michael Alago, who originally signed Metallica.
Oh, I love Michael. So
he introduced me just briefly to John, who was delivering some food that day or something, because John's a fucking hustler, dude. That guy.
Oh yeah.
God, what a badass dude. And I can't wait. I don't know if the new Blood Clot record was released yet. I know he was working on it, but
he's still doing it. Yeah. So
cool.
Yeah, but yeah, he came and sang a song on the record, and he was awesome. And I've been friends with John a long time. I've been friends with Michael a long time. And
really? That's awesome.
Yeah. Because I lived in New York, so I used to go see the Cro-Mags all the time,
Dude.
So to have John on my record, I talk about fanboy, dude. I fanboyed the fuck out when I said, John, I got this song, you want to be on it? And then he said, yeah. So yeah, man. And the next video has Chris Polin from Megadeth.
Dude, how cool is that?
It was. Dude, I had him. I said, "Hey, man, I got this song, and you want to do a solo on it?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he heard the song, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And it's killer. It's fucking killer. So,
he's got a new project coming too, right? Like next year or some shit like that.
Yeah, he has the Ohm stuff he's doing, and he's. I'm hoping that he does this other project that he was doing. I think he was trying to finish it up, but he's got a couple things going on, but.
That's cool. Nothing beats the old school thrash players, man. Like,
oh yeah, man.
And Mustaine and Gary, all those dudes kill it. Or even the guys from fucking Testament. God, I'm glad to see they're still out there slaying it.
Yeah. I think I'm having Alex on here soon. Me and Alex are going to have a conversation. I want to thank you guys for coming on here and having this conversation. And for all the metalheads out there, let's go out there and try to, if you're going to try a cigar, start with the Block. It's a really nice, smooth cigar, a Block by Dissident.
And then go take a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you start to feel woozy, drink a Coke, grab a piece of chocolate. You know what I mean? So.
Fuck yeah, dude. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you for being on here, and we'll talk to you soon. And I'm sure I'll talk to you before then, but I'll enjoy hanging out with you at the PCA in Vegas. So
awesome.
Yeah,
Sounds
look forward
good.
to it, man. Thank you.
All right.